Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Miller here again. We have our Algebra 1.5 notes here, rewriting equations and formulas. Couple things that we'll be looking at here. What you will be able to do is rewrite literal equations and rewrite and use common formulas. All right, so we're going to look at some nice common formulas out there in the world that we use on a regular basis. Getting started here, first things first, we're going to answer the warm-ups, go through those. Those are kind of prep us a little bit here for what we're going to do in these notes. So in this first one it says, write an equation for 3 more than twice A is 24. All right, so we're using the letter A in this question here. And again, some pointers. Is acts like an equal sign most times. So when you see the word is, you know that's going to be your final answer. So here in this one, it does. So we know that this is all going to come out to 24. And we're relating it to the variable a. So it is 3 more than twice a. So we have to do twice a. So to represent 2 times a, we write down 2a. And then the answer is 3 more than it. So again, more is a plus sign. So we're going to add 3 more to that. So we get 3 more than twice a is 24. Next one, we're going to talk about a square. So again, 4-sided shape. All sides are exactly the same in a square. And it has a side length of 8. So again, knowing a little bit about a square helps us answer this one because we know all of the sides are exactly the same. Even if we didn't know that, here we are producing the formula. It says find the area of the square using the formula A, which stands for area, is equal to your side squared. So side times side. Some of you might remember it as base times height, length times width. All of those apply. So here, if we're trying to solve this one, we simply just plug it in. Our area equals our 8 squared. And then do a little mental math here, hopefully knowing what our 8 squareds are, which our 8 squareds are 64. And then the last little part here, we are in units of feet. Anytime you have an area, it is squared. So square feet. And you represent that by doing the feet as an abbreviation and then put the square on it. Or you could write it out as square feet as well. Third warm-up, rectangular serving tray has 26 inches long and 18 inches wide. What is the tray's serving area? So again, refresh our memory on what is the area formula for any rectangle. And this formula actually works for squares as well. 2 ways you can write this. Area is your base times your height. Or you could say area is equal to your length times your width. All depends on what information you are given. They're interchangeable there. So in here they give us the length and the width. So if we're finding the area, we'll just substitute that in. Area equals 26 times 18. And then we'll get our calculator out. 26, I'm going to do this off screen, just doing 26 times 18. And we get an answer of 468. And then don't forget, we are finding the area, so we need to identify the units. So 468. My units were in inches. The abbreviation for inches is IN, and it is an area, so we need to make sure it's square inches. Now for our notes here, looking at manipulating our equations here. Now, not all of these ones will we actually be able to solve for like a number, a specific number. So when you say solve for x here, down. When we see solve for x, does not mean that you're going to get a specific numerical answer for it. All right. This is rewriting the equation so that we have x all by itself. All right. So we're still going to have a y in this equation. And we're going to talk about how we can check these as well. So for this one, just like our order of operations here, working backwards, we're trying to get x by itself. So we figure out what is attached through either addition or subtraction first. And we have that invisible plus sign. So we need to get rid of the 3y. So minus 3y, minus 3y. Then from there, just clean it up. I like to use little lines sometimes, just so my work gets broken up. So we're left with 4x equals, and please put this in order so variables always come first before your numbers. So it is going to be a 3y and then a positive 9 because there's a positive sign in front of that 9 we just can't see, and we don't write down in front of positive numbers always. Getting closer, we have one more step. X is attached to this 4 through multiplication, so now I need to divide. So I'm going to divide by 4. What you do to the left side, you must also do to the right side. Divide by 4. So the 4's cancel. 4 over 4 is a 1, and that's what we want, is a 1x, which we just leave as regular x. And then we can do one of two things here. We can leave the answer as a minus 3y plus 9 all over 4. Or another view of this, because sometimes we can clean these up a little further. Another view is this is the same as writing it as x equals a minus 3/4 y. So the negative 3 is being divided by 4. And then keep the sign 9/4. So it's just a way of breaking up that fraction there, just in case we can clean anything up here. So whether we can clean this up, which it doesn't clean up, but it makes it look a little nicer. So some might change this to a decimal. I'm going to leave it as a fraction. And same here, you might change this to your improper, well, it is improper fraction. You might change it to a mixed fraction. But both of those are acceptable answers. Now we talked about checking it. So I'm just going to change my pen here to blue for the checking to see if we did manipulate this equation correctly. So on this one here, what we need to do is take our equation and plug it back in. You can take either one of these. I'm going to go ahead and take the original one and plug it back in for my x. And this is how I check. If I do this correctly, I should get r equals. Both sides of the sign of the equal sign should be exactly the same. So here, as an example, for the check for this one, we start with 3y plus 4 times, I'm going to use this first one here, our x value, we're plugging that in, minus 3y plus 9 all over 4. This needs to come out to an answer of 9. So again, just use the original equation and plug my answer. And again, you can use either one. I just happen to use this one. Makes it a little easier to check my work. So cleaning this up, we have 3y plus, and this is where it's nice and it cleans up my work. When I have a 4 on top and a 4 on the bottom, those 4's cancel each other out. So I'm just left with my parentheses here. So that's actually a minus 3y and plus 9. All that equals 9. And if you notice, 3y and a minus 3y cancel. So have we manipulated this equation correctly? And the answer is yes. We have manipulated that equation correctly because 9 equals 9. If you get something else here, so say it says, I don't know, 4 equals 9, you've done something incorrect here. Or if you get any y's in here still, you haven't canceled out your y's, that's another red flag for you, um, especially when you're doing your quiz or your test, or if you don't want to waste your checkpoint on big ideas. I think I'll let you do the second one on your own there. So you're solving again for x. Get x by itself and go ahead and check that. And I'll have a picture view for you to check your work on that. We'll move on to the next equation. So it says write minus 2x plus 3y equals 6. So that y is a function of x. That simply means, ladies and gentlemen, that we want to get it as a y equals. So when you see y is a function of x, we want to get it to y equals. That's what we're trying to solve this for. All right. So y is determined by the value of x. And again, we're not going to get a set numerical value for this. We're manipulating and rewriting the equation. So starting with this one, how is y attached, or excuse me, to get y by itself, what's attached to it? We need to undo the 2x. So we'll add 2x to both sides. So we're left with 3y equals, again, please put the variable first, 2x, and that was a positive 6. Y is multiplied by 3, so undo your multiplication through division. So y is going to come out 2, and this is going to be 2x plus 6 all over 3. Or, again, this is one of the ones that cleans up nicer. So 2 will be divided by the 3, so 2/3 x, and then plus sign, keep the sign the same, and then 6 is divided by 3. And again, this is why we go to this route, to see if it cleans up a little nicer. And 6 divided by 3 works real nice. 6 divided by 3 is an answer of 2. So again, I would call that my final cleaned up answer, because that's its simplest form there. Then from there, again, going through, let's go ahead and do our check. So we're just going to plug this y back into the original equation here. So we have minus 2x plus 3 times, we're going to throw in our y here, which is 2/3 x plus 2. All of that has to equal 6. So we're going to just plug in my answer here for y into that y. Then from there, we clean up our work. So again, you can see where your order of operations, being able to solve these, helps you make sure that you are manipulating these equations correctly. All right. Otherwise, if we're having a hard time with our algebra skills, yeah, this is going to be very difficult to check your work, and you're just relying on it kind of the first time. So here, cleaning it up, nothing to do with the 2x, that's negative, so we just bring that down. And then we got to distribute. Remember, we distribute to both parts. Again, I always love this when we have a 3 on the top, because remember that is 3 over 1. We just don't put it, but 3 is on the top, and we have a 3 on the bottom. They cancel, so I'm just left with 2. Or if you want to do it mentally, remember, divide by 3, then multiply by the top. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, multiplied by the top. So it gives me a positive 2x. And then I need to distribute my 3 to my positive 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. And notice here again, this is what we want to see to make sure that we've done this correctly. Those are canceling out, and we get 6 equals 6. And life is good. So again, I'm going to let you go ahead and do this next one on your own here, and then we'll be able to check it a little later. back side of the notes here. So here are some common formulas here. This is the, oops, I'll flip back over, rewriting and using common formulas here section on the back. Even though we kind of warmed up with this, we have another one here. It says the area of a rectangle is given by the formula A equals L times W, which is length times width, and A is the area. Where L is the length and, oops, W is the width, which I just said. Solve the formula for the length L. So first things first, we want to rewrite this to solve for L. So if I'm looking at this, L is attached through multiplication. So to get rid of it, we're going to divide. So I'm just going to rewrite it here again. L times W. So we want to solve it for L. So it's attached to multiplication. So divide by W, divide by W. So here, our A over our W is equal to our L answer. All right. And again, we could check this by plugging it in. This one's a little easier one, not as much manipulation. So hopefully you've done it correctly because it's just a one step. So we won't take the time right now to solve that. Second part here says we want to use the written formula to find the length of the rectangle. So here our notes are missing. This is actually our W answer, 13 centimeters. So we do need to add that so that we could answer this question. And it's simply take your formula, and we're solving for length, and plug it in. So A is 351, and it is centimeters squared, divided by our W, which our W is 13 centimeters. Calculator work for 351 divided by 13, because again, we're cleaning this up here. So I'll use my calculator for that. And that comes out to 27. And then here, this is squared centimeters. So this is like a centimeter and a centimeter on the top. And we have 1 centimeter on the bottom. So we're going to cancel one out. So we're still left with 1 centimeter. So we get that back in there. All right. So again, just on a side note, if I did my work up here or showed it up here, it's like centimeters times centimeters over centimeters. All right. So that's just kind of like a 4 times a 4 all over a 4. What would we do to clean it up? We'd cross off a 4 on the top and the bottom. Same over here, we cross off a centimeter on the top and the bottom. So in this case, we're still left with the 4 on the top. Just like this one, we're still left with a centimeter on the top. So there's where that centimeter comes in. So that would cross off. That eliminates that down to a 1. So final answer here, L equals 27 centimeters. Moving along here, we're going to rewrite a common formula here, our Fahrenheit and Celsius. Right now they give us the Celsius formula. They want us to rewrite it for Fahrenheit. So move my paper up here so we can see that. So we're going to solve from F from our Celsius formula. So Celsius is 5/9. We're dealing with fractions here. F minus 32. All right, so there's a couple different ways that you could go about doing this, but I want to make your life a little easier. If you have parentheses and there's only a single multiplication on the outside, don't distribute. All right, you can, but you're really relying on a little more expertise in your algebraic equations there and being able to use your order of operations correctly. So here, get rid of the multiplication part outside of the parentheses. All right. So how do we get rid of this? Which I mean, make it a 1. That's how we're getting rid of it, is turning it into 1. It's multiplication of 1 does not change anything. So we are going to do the reciprocal of this. So I'm going to add it here to the end. So the reciprocal of 5/9 is flipping the fraction, 9/5. So again, just kind of like we did just a second ago, I'll show you here. We're getting rid of the same number on the top and the bottom. That's why we use the reciprocal of this. So the 9 cancels on top and bottom, and the 5 cancels on top and bottom. Again, don't forget what you do to the right side of the equation, you have to do to the left side of the equation. So 9 divided by 5. Cleaning it up, we have 9/5c equals, now I can drop my parentheses, f minus 32. So one last step, get rid of the 32, so add 32, and clean it up. So this becomes 9/5c plus 32, all that equals f. And again, I want to go through the check on this one here. Super important. In algebra, you have lots of chances to make sure you're manipulating your equations correctly. So I am going to check this just to make sure that we get this correct. So here's going through and getting a correct answer. So we know what f is. We're just going to plug it back into the original equation here. All right, so C equals 5/9 times f. So I'm going to put this in, well, I don't need to put in parentheses. You can. They're just going to drop off. So it's 9/5 c plus 32. And then I need to finish out my rest of my formula, which is minus 32. And you're going to start to see some things. A plus 32 and a minus 32, that's good. That cancels out. So I can just go ahead and cancel that out. And then again, we see I have a 5 on the top, a 5 on the bottom that cancel, a 9 on the top, and 9 on the bottom that cancel. So we get an answer of C equals C. So have we done this correct? We have, because this validates it. Gives us an equal on both sides. Last one here, a little simple interest formula here. So for finances, so reading through, Irina deposited $650 into a savings account. After 2 years, her account balance was $682.50. Find the rate of interest for the 2 years. Use the formula. Our simple interest formula here is here with a little years put into it. This A here stands for the actual amount or the account balance that you have, which is right here. A is the account balance, equals RP, which is principal. And then here we're going to do the 1 plus R, which is rate, and time here. So actually changing our simple interest formula into a little bit of a compound, because we're doing, well, not compounded in just simple interest, but over 2 years. So we're going to rewrite the formula, isolated R, and then solve. So let's do that. A equals, and I'm just rewriting it, P 1 plus R. And I'm going to use a capital T just because I'm changing it just a little bit, just because my small case T's, I don't want you to get them confused with the plus sign there. All right, so I'm going to use a capital T. I know it is a lowercase t, but I don't want you to get confused with the plus sign there. So solving for R, again, same situation as before. Do not distribute the p through. Go ahead and get rid of that p through division. So we're going to divide by p first. So a over p equals, now we can drop our parentheses there. So 1 plus RT. And again, using just the capital T so we don't get it confused with the plus sign. On our way to solving for R, so now we're attached by a positive 1 here, so we need to undo that. So minus 1, minus 1. So we get A over P minus 1 equals RT. And then this is multiplication, so we need to divide by T and divide the whole thing by T. All right, so cleaning it up, it looks like this. A over P minus 1. All of that is divided by our time. That comes out to our rate. And here where it really becomes very important that we're going through our order of operations correctly here, so that we get this solved. Yes, we can check this by plugging it back in. I'm not going to take the time right now. We did solve it correctly, but you'd want to make sure that this is 100% correct. Because if this is not correct, when you're going ahead and solving this question here, when they're asking you to figure out what rate is, and we're going to solve it, we're going to run into some issues if it isn't done correctly. You also could have plugged it into the other formula as well. So here, go ahead and plug it into our rewritten one or plug it into the original one. Does not matter. Actually, for sake, let's go ahead and plug it into the original one here. Thinking about it, actually, yes, this would be good if you made a mistake here, but it's going to be easier because you're going to have to go through this whole process again. So actually, we're going to plug everything into the equation that we had here for R, and then all of our math is done for us already on the left side. We'll get the answer a little quicker. If you feel like you have done this one incorrect, then yes, you'd want to plug all your answers into here. So again, A is the account balance. So the account balance was the 682.50. So 682.50. That's divided by P, which is the principal. Principal means what you started with. So she started with 650. We're going to subtract 1 from that, and we're going to divide all of that by our time, which our time was over 2 years. And again, this gets us to our R answer a lot quicker because we've already done all the algebraic work getting R by itself. So now all we're left with is just calculating. So use a calculator, 682.50 divide by 650, and that is going to come out to an answer of 1.05. We're going to subtract 1 from that and then divide by 2. So subtracting 1 from that on the top, so you get 0.05 divided by 2. And then finally 0.05 divided by 2 gives us an R value of 0.025. So if we're going to change that to a percentage, again, you move the percentage or decimal 2 spots, so that would be 2.5%, which for a savings account would be really, really good. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time.